This presentation is covering Artifact 1, Standard 1.1, Criteria 2, Standard 4.2, Criteria 13. For Standard 1.1, Criteria 2, I was to set professional learning goals and make a plan to put it in place. The first goal I had was to explore and curate a library of interactive digital tools that I could use to engage students. And then the second goal was to implement these tools in my third grade classroom through lessons and activities and stations. My first goal of exploring and creating the library of digital tools, I feel like I met it by creating a hub on Clever within my page of all the tools that I've gone over for the instructional technology program. I am able to go into one place and pull what I need either for myself as an educator or to provide instruction for students as a resource. One thing I could improve on my goal is the organization. I would like to go back and create different pages for different purposes and then categorize the tools that way. My second goal was to use these tools to then implement them into my classroom for my third graders to use through lessons and activities in their stations to be independent. To show this, I'm using a lesson plan that highlights three main tools, which are Edpuzzle, Clever, and PowerPoint presentation, and I will cover how I use these in the classroom. Following a whole group lesson, students were instructed to use Edpuzzle to review, and they would go through and watch the video, and within the video, they would stop at points and answer interactive questions to check their understanding. When they were finished with that, I could then have them go in a certain path of their learning where they would use Clever to find their resources stored of the next activities they would go through. Clever, I was able to give them only what they needed at that time and not have them overload with resources as you saw on my Clever page. After students practiced their learning with applications they were familiar with, the last task was to go to Office 365 to go to PowerPoint presentation where they would meet the criteria to setting up a product to show what they know. I sent this to students and shared their PowerPoint so that they could work on it and I could also access and see at the time what they were doing. I was able to go in and clear up any misconceptions or reformat their product if they needed help with scaffolding. I also chose to use this tool so students would have some autonomy in creating their product with their creativity along the side of meeting the expectations of the lesson. This is a slide demonstrating a student's product that they created on PowerPoint presentation using the technology I chose for the lesson. For the second standard 4.2 criteria 13 was to co-learn with students about a new digital tool that I was not familiar with. I wanted to use Desmos Classrooms as it was part of a lesson plan that we needed to use from the Georgia Department of Education, and it was covering fractions. This was to be done in whole group, and then students could go complete the apply section on their own for their independent practice. A big part we struggled with was getting started. Students were to go through Clever to access their assignments. They were assigned through the activity, yet not all students were able to go, but somehow everybody was attached. We had to figure out how to do this teacher versus student-paced lesson. Some people were going on without the teacher, even when it was synced. At first, we could not understand how to use the tools that were available for us until we explored. This is some of my evidence of co-learning with my students. I was working alongside the students with my projector showing my computer for the whole class, and I was able to figure out the different tools with them and work along with them. Some students were ending up with blank screens or clicking buttons and we didn't know where the screen went. So we were able to troubleshoot as students figured out how to help. They were going around and sharing those helpful tips and helping other students be successful and moving forward. We were exploring on the teacher pace versus student pace. Sometimes it would show student answers, but we didn't want to see the answers for everyone. We just wanted to see who answered. So we figured out how the dots in the boxes work for submission. Um, that's when we were able to see that after you contribute to a response, you can see the other peers' responses, and everyone was able to use it because there was accessibility for students who can't read and write were able to record. These were some examples of how we all learned together, and this one in particular, the kids got really excited when they could figure out something and come up to the board to share with everybody. Teaching the teacher was a lot of fun for them as they wanted to keep exploring and learning more about the app.